And what I want you to be able to do is to innovate. So here's my definition of innovation. Innovation is all about creating economic value, social value, and or environmental value through the application of ideas which are new to you. So you have permission to steal all these ideas which I may be sharing, and steal all the ideas from everybody else we'll be sharing today, so you can innovate. There's all these various people who have to come together, and it's not linear. Supply chains give that impression of things being linear. Actually, they're networks that we're having to handle and deal with. There are multiple interactions, and that creates some of the complexity that we deal with. So when we actually start to think about how we create a supply chain, you must know your corporate strategy. Right? And believe it or not, many businesses don't understand the corporate strategy, or many people in the businesses don't know what their corporate strategy is. So be clear about the corporate strategy. Now, why am I giving you this little academic talk here? Because where would you say the insurance industry is? How are you creating value? Or are you just going for a race on cost to the bottom of the pile? We want it as cheaply as possible. You know what, here's a radical idea. After my recent experiences, I'd love to pay you an extra £20 a year, or even £30 a year, so I get through to one person who can deal with my claim, and also it's managed appropriately, and also I get information and regular updates which I can access through an app or something like that, so I'm not having to call an 08700 number, which I can't do on my mobile because I get completely screwed. Right? So that I can actually interact with it. Value. Value is not just about cost, it's about the other things which are associated with that transaction. Notice, it's not about trucks and sheds, it's about managing relationships. So how good are you at managing relationships? That's what it's all about. It's how we manage relationships. Technology may be used to help us manage relationships. So all these things that we're having to invest in, well, this is something which really winds up people, right? You've just gone and spent, I don't know, 100 million on a new software package. Ask, how has this improved relationships? You know, has it improved relationships? Well, have you actually been able to save any money to build a better relationship with, say, some customer or a stakeholder? Or has it actually done anything for relationships? Or, as in many situations, has it actually made relationships worse? Because if we can manage those relationships effectively, that actually generally means that we can keep the costs down and we can increase the value. So collaboration becomes critical as we move forward. And you know what your job is? It's to put windows into your business processes, windows into the insurance supply chain, so customers can actually see what's actually going on. That is my job with most companies, is how can I put windows into the supply chain pipeline so people can actually see what's going on. That is going to require some level of technology. And just to, highlight a couple of things, my house has lots of clear windows, but I actually have a couple of windows which are frosted glass, so I don't scare the neighbours apparently, okay? They're on the bathrooms. But at least the neighbours can see that we're normal because a light may go on in that room occasionally. I would love to see a light coming on as my claim actually goes through the process that you're putting me through and I don't understand. So at least I know that things are happening. So how can you, here's my challenge to you as an industry, how can you put windows into your processes so that customers can actually see what's actually going on? Most of us, probably in this room, are what we call I-shaped people. I-shaped people generally think about themselves and they're in their own little world, so I'm doing production, I'm a lawyer, I'm a lawyer, I'm doing my lawyer stuff, and I've got my lawyer performance measures, and I'm right here and I'm doing all that. I'm in insurance, I've got all my measures on me, and those people over there, they're a pain, you know. Don't understand them, I'm just in my little world, I've got my performance measures and all the rest of it. Then over here I've got, you know, HR perhaps in my business, and nobody knows who they are, but they're, you know, they're in their little world. And then, you know, over here I've got finance, and nobody quite understands who they are, and they've all got their little measures. And we're all in this little I-shaped world of sort of bouncing around like this. But to make all this work, we need something called a T-shaped person. A person who understands the process they are part of, but also have their functional specialism. So when finance start to make decisions, they understand how that decision will impact both up and downstream within the supply chain. We're into experiential learning at Cranfield. I'd like you to stand up and be I-shaped for me. Could you do that? Just see, I know this is a real, you know, impact on your time and energy here, but, you know, we need a stand-up. Okay? Now, how does that feel? Sort of all right, isn't it? Apart from the fact I've had to stand up. You know, I feel quite comfortable. Now, make a bit of room for yourselves and go T-shaped. Now, how does that feel? Apart from I can't believe I'm standing in the Ricoh Arena doing this, right? Now, what happens now when you're in your little world and you're being beaten up by the company, beaten up on costs, beaten up on everything else? Where do your hands start to go? Well, back down here, because I'm going to worry about my own little world. Now, a bit of team bonding. Put your arms up again and rest them on each other's shoulders. Oh, yeah. I'm going to get a photo of this. I'll tweet it. Don't panic. Don't panic. I'm going to tweet it. I need to go over here so I don't get dazzled. Oh, that's looking wonderful. I will tweet this as the, you know, insurance industry T-shaped supply chain, right? So yeah, I think we better sit down. Some of the people at the back are enjoying it far too much, right? A bit worried about what's going on down there. Point is, a couple of learnings. When you move your business from being I-shaped to T-shaped, it feels uncomfortable. It doesn't feel natural. So you have to take the business through effective change management. But also, you need to do this all together to make it work, otherwise it's not going to work. So I would ask that what you need to think through over the rest of today is how can you make your whole industry more T-shaped? So when you think about all the stakeholders that you have to work with, mobility solutions, software partners, solicitors, claims investigators, garage, body shop, insurance companies, policyholders, do you know the relationships? Do you measure the relationships? Do you actually become T-shaped as you move forward? Because if you don't, competition is no longer between individual companies. It's between the supply chains they are part of. You're only as good as your worst supplier. And if you get sick relationships in your supply chain, it will destroy the whole situation. So how can we actually manage that and ensure that we've got and we detect where relationships are failing across our networks? I would argue that email is now dead. Email is dead. Nobody can actually filter through what's important and what isn't. On social network, the important stuff, like hashtag ilcmotor, bubbles to the top, bubbles to the surface. So people are starting to use this in my world of supply chain, so you can actually monitor what's actually going on. So you can see here, this is just tracking particular things using tracking numbers which people can read. Even better than that, I know where everything is. I know what's going on when I get a delivery. Here you can see, following a parcel here, this is using DPD Predict. It's won a Queen's Award for Innovation. It'd be great if some of your organisations got a Queen's Award for Innovation by thinking about the application of technology to your environment. So you can see here, I love this, Praffle is currently making delivery number 57. You are delivery number 90. Why can't I see when my car's going into the body shop and when it's going to be worked on and what they're doing? Hey, there's a challenge for you. You know, also the legal bit. Why can't I actually see what's actually going on? Because I just think most of you are just sitting on your hands doing nothing because it takes like months and months for things to happen. Why can't we actually update this? Here we are. Look at this. It's giving my delivery estimate, and now it's 58 of 90. It's now getting really excited because it's 64 of 90. Now, look, it's just down the road. I'm getting so excited. Delivery number 89 of 90. It's going to be there in 15 minutes. And then it arrives. but I can track it from first thing in the morning all the way through. I didn't have to go on the phone to phone up some 08700 number, which was going to charge me a fortune. I was able to see what was actually going on. What we're finding now is social media. Here's social service here. Look at this. They're actually moving through the web, in-person contact centres and everything. How are you geared up to manage all those interactions as we move forward?